Hello, YouTube, and welcome back to Dark Angel's Journey. I am Shakira, and I figured today we could talk about a couple of chart patterns that I'm learning about, and maybe we can hunt them down in the charts real quick. So I was thinking we could take a look at engulfing candles, bearish and bullish, and see if we can see how price generally behaves around it when those things show up, and maybe even figure out which ones are actually useful versus the ones that aren't. So if that sounds like a good plan, I'll try not to make this video too long. um go ahead and hit the like button. I don't know, just punch it up. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we can just get started, right? Okay, so for once, I'm not looking at Bitcoin, which is great. And I think that's a good thing for me to step away from that coin because you know, as a new trader, I'm finding myself somewhat obsessed with trying to understand how one thing works. And, if I'm not seeing anything on that particular coin, it might be a good idea for me to go find something else that might be useful. All right. All right. So let's talk about these two styles of candles, right? So up here, I've actually cut this out of this live screen, and I've actually hit the replay back so I don't have to be scrolling back and forth. It's kind of insane. Um, I'm also, trying to figure out how to trade these types of patterns down here, but that's kind of neither here nor there when it comes to the bullish and bearish stuff. We'll come back to that. All right, so for the bullish engulfing candle, right? So generally what you want to see is one candle basically dominating the one next to it. So there should be a green candle dominating the red candle. Now this one has a bit of a long wick, but it closed, low below here, which is, great. Right? But what this generally tells us is after after a downtrend and you see this formation show up, then you might, be able to enter into a long from here, assuming, and remember, don't trade any one thing in isolation or by itself or whatever, right? Just there has to be other things that make that trade feel like it could actually play out the way you want to. Now, remember, guys, there is literally no way on earth for us to know what the market's going to do. All we can do is, practice, um, understand, figure out the things that we're looking for, whether that is you're looking for this bullish engulfing candle so you can take a long from an area, and you might be, as I've drawn out here, I've got a couple of trend lines for this broadening wedge, right? So then, if I'm seeing, and let's zoom in a little bit here, right? So if you've got a trend line, you've got a couple of nice little touches, right? Like one, two. So you might be like, well, so we've come from an uptrend, right? And we've hit a trend reversal. So now we're in a downtrend. So what does that say to me? That says that, if I've got a decent enough trend line going down, maybe I can do something in between. You know what I mean? Like I can trade what's happening in between this space. Now, I'm not a big fan of broadening wedges personally. I love a good squeezing because then I can expect a nice breakout depending on if it's a bear flag or a bull flag or whatever. But in this case, we've got the opposite. We've got stuff rolling in. But what I did notice when I opened this puppy up was, I was looking at, and this is the other important thing, right? Like as you're trying to look for these different like candle patterns to kind of work it into your entry strategy for a trade, make sure, and I probably said this already, make sure that it's coinciding with something, right? So in this case, I had this downward trend line, not to mention this um, this horizontal trend line as well, right? So once I saw it hit this, and then, I was like, all right, cool. But look, if you zoom in real tight on it, it's a nice bullish engulfing candle. So now, after seeing this candle, what I would do is enter into a long. And again, remember, we have a couple of confluences here. We've got a nice strong trend line on the horizontal, and then a vertical one that's kind of reconfirming it, at least from my perspective, right? Drop it in the comments if you think that's not quite right. But again, I'm a beginner trader. The whole point of this channel is so I can test things out and, work up my understanding of what's happening, right? Okay. So, here we've got these two trend lines converging, beautiful, beautiful looking, bullish, engulfing candle, and then take a nice long from here. And what I'm hearing is, what you want to do in terms of your stop loss, if you're going to have proper risk and money management as you need to. So don't be a cowboy or cowgirl or cow person or whatever you want to be. Anyway, all right, cool. So obviously, once it bounced off of here, it did a nice little uptrend, and then you could have because check it out, right? So, and I just learned this is really cool. So if you were to take a long from here, I'm going to use the tool over here. So, and you're doing like a 1 to like 2 ratio, right? So what you would do is you would enter at the close of that candle, and you set your stop loss right under it, right? Like so. And then you'd want to take your profit at least like 2 times that candle if you can manage it. So what we have that's 1.94%. So maybe at 3%, right? 3.5% or something like that. So let's see how that would have worked out. 1 to 3, approximate. All right. So look at that. It worked out really well, right? Before they came back to dump it. So, just think about how that would have worked out for you. Now let's switch over to the bearish one, which in all honesty, if you're in a downtrend, you're going to want to, look for more opportunities to take a short, right? All right, so it's the exact opposite of the bullish one, literally the same thing. Again, we see a small body, even if it does have a long wick on this candle, but there's a beautiful bearish engulfing candle. Like it has to just swallow it up, Plus, Plus, as I mentioned before, you want to be at a nice area to even take that kind of trade, right? So let me move that back over here, and I literally just cut this out of here. So let's zoom in on that spot, right? It looks better like when you've zoomed in, but again, nice trend line, number of touches to confirm it. Bam, 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 bam. Beautiful. So then it tried to do a little breakout, failed, and then closed under the trend and then formed a beautiful bearish engulfing candle, right? So principle is the exact same. So again, if you're going to take a short from this location, you would take it at the close of that candle, set your stop loss at the end of that candle, and then it's a 3 to 1 thing, right? Or 2 to 1, depending on your risk reward ratio. So let's say 3 to 1. So that would have been, and this is on the 1 hour, right? 2.22% on that candle. So that means what? Like 8? No. So 4, 6, right? So then given the size of the candle, I would have come in and said I wanted like a 6.5%. Um, Boom. And look at that, right? And the thing is, remember, guys, you need to have space to work, right? So taking stuff in the middle of the channel, close to taking like a long from like the end of the channel out this way, unless you see some sort of like confirmation and breakout of that space, then that's the only reason I would say do that. But this is literally a really great method to trade if you find it out in the wild. Okay. All right, guys. So that's all I wanted to show for today. Let me know your thoughts in the in the comments. And hey, if you like the content, like and subscribe, right? Like and subscribe. Give us just a little like, right? You know, we sometimes get a little and then a little and then eh, you know what I'm saying. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, this is just me testing stuff out. No financial advice. Do your own research. Test all of this stuff out for yourself and practice, practice, practice until it becomes second nature to be able to, see these things. Because that's what I'm doing, right? All right, guys. So, y'all have a good one, and Shakira out.